Welcome back to Coach Bill Sports Show. As always, I'm Coach Bill. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to do a little recap on the week that was. Had some wonderful games this weekend, really good games. I'm going to dive into a couple of them, break them down. Before we get all into that, please like, subscribe to the channel. All that good stuff helps us here, helps us make sure that we can continue to do this. Possibly even bring in some people, make some more graphics, do a couple more things for you. So if you like what you're seeing, you like the information you're getting, just like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know what you're doing. But let's dive into it. We had a lot of ranked on ranked matchups this weekend, which is always a good recipe for some football. We're going to start here in South Carolina with Clemson versus Syracuse. Watching this game and not watching this game, you're going to see this as two different things. One, Syracuse came out. For those of you who didn't watch it or just looking at the box score, Syracuse came out and put some points on Clemson in the first half. They scored all their points in the first half. But Clemson went into the locker room, made some defensive moves, and really held their ground in the latter part of the game. A lot of you are going to see that DJ got benched. But even when DJ was benched, they weren't really throwing the ball. Syracuse's defense was really stopping that pass game. That and Will Shipley, I'm sorry, but if the way I see Will Shipley is the exact same way I see Christian McCaffrey when he was at Stanford. You just need to get that ball in that boy's hands. He is talented, super talented, as a running back. And, honestly, this game looks closer than it was. If you can take even half the turnovers that Clemson had, because they had 4, you cut it down to 2, it's a completely different game, especially that one that cost them a fumble return for a touchdown by Syracuse late in the second half. But big win by Clemson. This is probably one of the last tougher tests on their schedule. So Clemson keeps rolling, keeps moving forward, and we'll probably see Clemson in the ACC championship, and as long as they win that, the college football playoffs. Another team we're going to probably see in the college football playoffs, as long as things continue the way they're going. Mississippi State and Alabama played this weekend. Alabama returned to the Alabama that everybody was expecting against Tennessee. Super dominant team, offensively, defensively. It literally took Mississippi State every minute of the game to score against this Alabama defense. A lot of things went very good for Alabama. The two things I want to point out the most is the self-coaching. Alabama's defensive players and offensive players were correcting the mistakes on the field real time instead of letting it be a coach making that change later on down the road. It was real time, and they were making the adjustments then and there. They saw the problem. They knew how to fix it. And that's more of the traditional Alabama team. What this does show me, though, is just how powerful that Tennessee home game was for Tennessee. Tennessee's offense against this defense has done something that this defense is just not going to allow the rest of the season. And I think that speaks more to Tennessee's offense than it does to Alabama's defense. Alabama's defense is good. It is good. But I think if they play that game on a neutral site, it may end differently. I think if you play that game 100 times, it may go 49-51 or 51-49. It's just that close of a competition right now. You've got the best or the top 5 best offenses in college football, and the same for defenses. You got a top 5 offense in Tennessee and a top 5 defense in Alabama. And it just is what it is there. Speaking of teams that just surprise me right now, are teams that have been really successful recently and just had a slip up. Ole Miss. Ole Miss lost to LSU this week, and I don't think it was really that surprising of a loss. While watching it, LSU was just a better team. Front, back, left to right, they were just a better team on the field. Ole Miss, this is their first real test on the road this year, and they've got some stuff to clean up. They've definitely got some stuff to clean up, especially since they still have Alabama left on their schedule. But can Lane Kiffin get it fixed? Maybe. They can still be a 10-win team with a loss to Alabama, still be a 10-win team, and still be in a very strong position for bowl games, end of season stuff, all that good stuff. LSU, wow. To look at the LSU team that I saw yesterday compared to the LSU team I've seen this season, it was night and day. If you take the game against Tennessee out of the equation, LSU is 5-1. They've been competitive in just about every game. And it's just it's a team that I think the West is going to have to compete with in the near future. I think LSU has the ability to be what we all thought Texas A&M was going to be, but they've got better coaching at LSU. So a more consistent ability to make that result happen. Talk about consistency. Whew. Oregon Ducks. Since Chip Kelly's come back to college football, he has been winless in Oregon. It's been bad for Chip Kelly in Oregon. Oregon put on a show. Bo Nix, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, looking like the kid he was in high school. So for Bo Nix, it looks like just don't play SEC opponents, man, and you're going to be rocking. SEC opponents got your number, but outside of that, it looks like you can play with the best of them. And for UCLA, this was a big road game for them. They've had all their big games at home so far, so I don't want to take anything from UCLA because they're still in that picture there. Pac-12, second most exciting conference right now, just behind the Big 12. But they're still in that picture. They still got to keep playing. They've got USC ahead, and if they beat USC, they're still in. They still have a shot for the championship game because the Pac-12 goes off of there is no division. It's just best teams make the championship game, and that's it. So, still a shot for UCLA, still a shot for Oregon, and let them keep playing. But let's get into the most exciting conference in college football right now. And let's go into the Big 12. Oklahoma State had a home game against Texas. What I learned from this game in particular is that if Oklahoma State's quarterback is healthy, they're a tough team. They're a real tough team to beat. They are consistent. They can throw the ball all over the yard, and they're going to make you make plays against them. Texas, this is not the Texas team of old where they would just give up and quit. They had some fight. They had some fight in them, which is good to see from Texas. Quinn Ewers is doing some things over there, and I don't know if he stays with Texas with the Manning boy coming in or not, but if he decides he wants to transfer, there's going to be a laundry list of teams that line up for him. Another Big 12 team, another exciting game from them. TCU. TCU went down heavy. I think at one point they were down 28-10 against Kansas State at home, and then they rattled off 28 straight points to win this game. I don't want to take anything away from TCU's quarterback because he is a phenomenal quarterback. But there's a gentleman down there by the name of Quentin Johnson, wide receiver. And from what I've seen this season, when he goes into the draft this year, he's a top 3 wide receiver in the draft. Making the statement now. It's October 24th. You heard it here. I think Quentin Johnson's top 3 wide receiver in the draft. He has just got that size, that speed, great hands, catches ridiculous passes around him. Kid's special. The kid is really special. Trying to remember. I'm trying to see what he did. What he's done so far this season. So yeah. 38 receptions, 574 yards, 3 touchdowns. They've been throwing the ball around a little bit more down there, but that kid, if you watch the games, stands out. He just stands out. And I'm not saying there's not a lot of talent down in TCU. There is. He's just one of those guys where you put on the film, and after you watch it a little while, you start going, all right, I need to remember that kid's name. He's going to be doing something. I'm going to see him on Sundays. So TCU put out a big win. Some of the other ranked teams in action, we had Tennessee against UT Martin. Tennessee, for lack of a better term, took UT Martin to the woodshed. I think it was 52-7 at halftime. Ended up being 65-24. Honestly, I think at some point they were just pulling people out of the stands to play ball down on the field. And nothing wrong with that. Kentucky coming in next week. Got to get right. Got to get healthy. Got to make sure everything's good. Big news for UT, though. Something I saw today. It's looking like Cedric Tillman, their number 1 wide receiver, will be back for the game against Kentucky, which is phenomenal because Tennessee's been doing what they've been doing without their number 1 wide receiver. So getting a number 1 wide receiver is big for them going into the next couple games. Ohio State played Iowa at home. Let's be very real. I don't think Iowa has scored more than 20 points this entire season. Nope, I take that back. They scored 27 against Nevada and Rutgers. Outside of that, their offense has just been pedestrian at best. So Iowa's not really that big of a test, especially for an Ohio State team that has higher aspirations than that. So, is what it is. Penn State bounced back this week against Minnesota. Michigan kind of took them to the woodshed, and they got Ohio State coming in next week, so they need to make sure they got this one against Minnesota. Again, get right, get healthy, get ready for the Ohio State game. Wake Forest beat up on Boston College. Cincinnati was in a tight one with SMU. I didn't get to watch the entirety of that game, but it looked like a couple explosive plays really set the tone for Cincinnati to win that one. Otherwise, SMU was doing some things down there. So that's what happened this weekend. There was a lot of teams on bye, which you'll see reflected in the rankings when we put them out on Wednesday. And then Friday we'll look at some of the later games, the games for this weekend, because it's a solid weekend for some games. Just looking here right now, and there's some really good ones. There's some that mismatches right there, but there are some really good games as well. So, exciting weekend of football ahead. Exciting weekend football behind us. It's football season, and we're happy as hell about it. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please remember, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And again, have a wonderful night. Ready, break.